Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Tyendinaga Mohawk Council meeting. We had some presentations from the Department of Indian Affairs just to update the council on our funding agreements and the different programs and services that were funded for this morning. So that was done in camera. And we had a presentation from Callie Hill from just to update the council on the work that the PTO language program is doing. And so that's it. I'll go over what the council has approved at the meeting this morning, just so you know what motions have been approved. The council passed a motion to update the acknowledge the department's presentation on the funding arrangements for Mohawk's Bay of Quinte, and there'll be some follow-up meetings on some items that the council's identified at a future meeting of the department. There's been some new opportunities in economic development that will be looked at and pursued. The council passed a motion to review and adopt the agenda today. The council passed a motion to acknowledge Callie Hill's presentation on the work that the language school is doing. The council approved to accept, it's moved by Aaron to accept the Aaron, second by Chris Brandt, to approve the minutes with one correction. And there's another motion to accept the minutes of February the 15th with one spelling correction, and those resolution motions were carried. There was a motion to approve meetings outside of the territory. So for me, it was the First Nations Wellness Conference in Toronto, March 27th and 28th, the Iroquois Caucus meeting in Oneida, Ontario. April 3rd and 4th, the SOB meeting in London. And for me, to attend the meeting with the Leadership Council on the 26th of February for a presentation done forward on housing infrastructure. February the 27th, we'll continue the Chief Leadership Council meeting. May the 7th, I've been invited to go to London, England, to Lord Mayor of London is holding a conference about investment opportunity for economic development for First Nations and other issues affecting First Nations. I've been asked to make a presentation on them. I'll take more information from the person who sent me the invitation. And so it's been moved by Chris Miracle and seconded by Curtis Brandt to approve to attend that. And I'll be providing an update to the council and get more information. There was the motion passed. There's an opportunity from Sterling Maple Corporation to do some work in Kingston. We're going to forward this over to the Economic Development Office here at the Mohawk Company to review it and to get more information and make a recommendation.
Yeah, he's not coming up. Tina,
we're on item number 5 now.
Or Amber.
There's a request to do from a student who Aidan Galvin. He's a Master of Arts student at the Department of Geography, Indigenous Future Collaboratory at the University of Victoria. And he is doing whose line is it anyway, mapping an Indigenous-centered view of parks and Indigenous relations. So he's doing a survey on that to see how they're making accommodation for Indigenous people's issues. So we need a motion. Is council prepared to participate in the survey?
I don't think that I know enough about the information in this to participate in it, but maybe the environmental department might a little bit more.
People are taking the time to do this information and participate in the study being conducted for my master's thesis at the University of Victoria. My research is intended to gather Indigenous nations and individual perspectives on the experience with Parks Canada using an Indigenous-informed holistic approach research practice that follows the principles of OCAP, which means ownership, control, access, and possession. You or your nation was selected as a potential collaborator on this research because your traditional territory or part of it is with the present day Ontario, and you may have past, present, future relationship with Parks Canada, which we do. You suspend the survey portion open to chief councils of this study will take 50 to 30 minutes. The talking circle is open to Indigenous identified persons in or traditional territory in Ontario have allocated 2 hours each, but the actual duration will vary after the station or succeeded. Who is conducting the research? Master students, settler with queer, trans, neurodivergent, multiply, disabled experience, and indigenous Canada from EC Cole Winnen, supervisor Dr. Deandra Smile, Ojibwe Black, Swedish scholar and citizen of the Leech Lake Band of Ojibwe, Minnesota. This survey will ask you whether you have an existing or historical relationship with one or several parks and properties, whether that relationship is being honored by Parks Canada and if not, whether your nation what feels it should do.
That's what I don't have enough information. I looked at the questions that they provided because they did put it in an attachment, the questions that would be asked, and I don't personally have the knowledge to answer those questions.
So the relationship that we have with Parks Canada was the rehabilitation of the Christchurch Chapel Royal, a National Historic Site. They did provide $500,000 to the restoration of that, and of course the rest of it, up to 1.4 million, was raised by the fundraising committee. The Heritage Foundation Fund provided $100,000, and there were raffles, dinners.
I don't think those questions, those ones, it's more asking about like your relationship with like provincial parks Canada, I think, by what it looked like. Anyway, regardless, I don't have it, so I'm gonna.
Well, Parks Canada is
Stay over that one.
the federal organization. It's not provincial, and so we did have a contribution agreement with them that expires in 2040 or 45, something like that. But in terms of the whole St. Lawrence River area, there's a lot of historic sites. There's the old Fort Henry. There's different sites in the St. Lawrence River area that would be our traditional territory. And so that's probably why they want to consult with us. Again, the questions will be pretty basic, I would think, but I really think we've had a positive working relationship with Parks Canada, with John Pringle and Cheryl Smith. And so in terms of grave sites that are our ancestors, we work with the province to make sure that they get designated as an Aboriginal First Nations burial ground. And so there have been some things like that. We work with the Ministry of Transport and the province to have those designations take place. There's one down at the Upper Gap on the highway along Lake Ontario, just below Napanee, before you get to Bath. And so there's a big rock there that the Ministry of Transport, that was a traditional burial site where people are fishermen from before Europeans came, caught fish and dried them there. So there were artifacts and there were graves that were there.
Well, I'll make the motion if you want to fill this out on behalf of council.
We can answer the questions the best we can. They're usually they usually invite us to their gatherings. Are usually held in Kingston.
Well, he's got survey questions on one of the attachments.
Yeah, and so probably I would say Lisa and Tom with his work, Todd and Todd have worked with the Parks Canada and myself on funding issues, but
so I'll make the motion for it to be filled out.
we'll do the best we can. That's all we can do. Moved by Agori. Is there a seconder?
I'll second it, Chief.
Curtis?
Because everything can be in confidentiality too. So
Yeah. Okay, is anyone opposed? If none, the motion's carried. The next item is the delicacy proposal. So Sam has, Sand Miracle has offered to pay 1/3 of the cost to pave the driveway at 274 Highway 49, which is the Employment Training Center. The downside of the proposal will need to submit by February 16th. Sorry for the short turnaround time, however, I do not set a time, but please note this section does not need no approval. we will follow the exact path that was placed for the parking area and driveway that was there when we arrived, with the exception of the parking lot, which students may have to be expanded. If you have someone or anyone can come and view our area, providing any suggestions, I would greatly appreciate that. Before the submission was handed in, there's no cash on the layout expected from review. However, would like to include our portion of the paving into the prepaid rent as per MOU. So Angela sent out an email asking, or someone did, maybe it was Chris, whether or not the 2/3 would be paid for by the band. And what was the answer to that? Did Tom or someone from the shop go to look at the parking lot?
I've asked, Tommy didn't respond to me, but Sam, I did ask her about, what the numbers would be, and when she responded back, there wasn't any numbers.
Can you ask Tom again, Shelley, please?
Tommy's not here, he can join in by phone, but
Okay.
he's not here.
Can you get him on the phone then?
I did ask her about the third, and who was covering the 2/3, and
What is the cost of paving? How much money are we talking about?
They didn't provide that information.
so she wrote back and said, oh, that was Chris.
Do they have an estimate?
Nope.
Okay,
They didn't,
there was no,
I don't think we can
no
do,
numbers given to us.
yeah,
Okay, I'll call her and ask her, do they have an estimate?
So her response back was, oh,
Yeah. let's not have that discussion.
Okay. Tom, are you there?
I don't,
Tom? You're on mute, Tom.
Sorry, hello?
Okay, we're discussing the paving at the LPC parking lot.
Okay,
Okay, now, did anybody, first of all, did anybody go and look at it, and did they get an estimate what it's gonna cost to pave it?
I believe Sam got the quote for
And was it
doing the
shared
work.
with you?
Pardon?
Was it shared with you?
I think it was shared in that package to everyone.
There was no
Okay.
dollar amount anywhere that I've seen. Did I miss it?
What was it? What was
My-
the,
Sorry, my understanding is that they would need that for the application.
But we didn't get the application.
Oh, okay.
okay. So did you see a dollar amount somewhere, Tom?
No,
Okay, because I don't recall reading a dollar amount. I read the email.
She just said the proposal has not been approved yet, and we don't know the financial commitment until we are informed of the amount.
So all they've done is the application. Can we defer this until, and can we see the MOU, the prepaid rent as per this MOU?
I'm trying to find the MOU. I don't know if she meant MOU or if it's the actual lease.
Oh, yeah.
But if,
Well,
if
either
this
or.
had it going on February the 16th, I guess we need to find out was submission handed in.
Yeah, even if she handed it in, I mean, I suppose you can always decline it, but I mean, there's pros and cons, right? It's just as you're adding more to your prepaid rent, it means less cash flow coming into us, but it also is improving the asset. So
Yeah.
it's, you've got pluses and minuses on both sides.
Yeah. I don't
And
think we
the
can
last
make any
amount-
I
decisions
don't think we
without
can
more
make any
The
information.
last amount was like 650,000, I think, was in prepaid rent that we're not.
I'm going to ask her if she's
We're
got
gonna
the
wait
cost,
until that's all paid off.
because maybe that's something, maybe that's
She would have
something we,
she would have to identify a cost in the application.
Yeah, and she didn't share the application. Because that's what I was asking when I sent it to her. I asked for
and
that.
I guess, Tom, do you have money in your budget to cover there's a band share?
We had housing revenue, so you could use that.
Well, do you have housing revenue this year?
You have housing revenue every year. It's the money that comes in from the mortgages. It's with less lending you do in the fall or in the spring.
Okay, there's a motion then to defer this item then? Who's moving it?
I will, until we have more information in this prepaid rent MOU.
Tommy, do you know, is it an MOU or is it just the yearly lease?
I've never seen a written MOU. I know she had a previous commitment from a previous council for that approach. I don't recall seeing a written MOU.
Yeah, I wasn't sure about that. Well,
Not to say that there's not one though, but
no, and I did ask, Cecil as well, so hopefully she can tell me if she's seen one. I
Hey,
was thinking
Chris?
it's just the lease.
Chris?
the lease doesn't state anything about prepaid.
Okay,
So it sounded to me like she was willing to pay for it all, and then that would go against like a prepaid rent,
Yeah, similar the way.
which is
To
what
the
the
renovations.
renovations were done, how it was done this way. Instead of us collecting rent, we just deduct so much a year off of there till it's down to zero, then they'll start paying rent.
We just have no information, so.
And really,
I
it was a good
suggest
thing
we
because that
defer
building
to
sat there unused for
dwelling.
years, just going to wreck.
I agree.
It's been put to good use. And it's a place, it's an office, it's a place of business and training, so it wouldn't be terribly abnormal to have a paved parking lot.
yeah.
And it would create less wear and tear in that building too.
Well, I'm not saying it's not a good thing at all. I'm just saying, I just don't know how much it's gonna be. We're gonna add to the prepaid.
All right,
rent.
then, so what we can probably do is we can probably put this on the Todd list to Kyle Weir. Tom, add the cost once you know what it is on that letter you're writing to me for Kyle Weir.
Okay.
If council agrees with that, we'll ask the department for the money. Chris?
Chris?
Yeah.
Something to say?
I acknowledge the proactiveness of the existing tenant, but at the end of the day, no matter who funds it, competitive tendering processes should be utilized because it's our building. So we have to show that due diligence.
I agree with you, Chris, on that. It's got to be tendered, just like everything else is. If there's a process, then we still have to stick to the process.
Yeah.
Not just get somebody in and pave it.
But
there's
we're
gotta
not,
be a tender.
I don't know if that's our intention or not.
Well,
but
we
if,
should-
if,
we still have to. see
okay,
it.
but we need to know who's contracting out because the ALPC
I don't think
is,
that part.
if the
They're just
ALPC
putting
is
in a
contracting out to do the work,
That's what she
they have a
told me.
board of directors, their corporation's council wouldn't be making that decision. If MBQ is contracting it out, then we have to follow our tender policy. I don't know what their tender policy is.
So I
Doesn't
just,
matter if it's their contract,
Yeah.
it operates under their rules.
okay. But at the end of the day, it's our building and I got no problem with the existing tenant overseeing the process. It just has to be competitive.
Okay, we can the staff can pass that on to her, but again, we don't dictate we don't make their rules for that corporation. We're not officers of that corporation.
Right, but at the end of the day, if you're using prepaid rent, you're using MBQ revenue. So I do agree with what Chris is saying. I think though that should message to AFLDC should come from council, not from staff.
Exactly, so there'd have to be a motion then to cover.
But I do agree that it would be important that we still ensure, not only just for the transparency's sake, but to ensure that we're getting value for dollar.
Yeah, we have to prove the work that's being done there, but again, if they're contracting out, it has to go by the rules that run that corporation and their funding relationship.
As long as it's
However-
competitively contracted, tendered out. That's all I care
Yeah,
about.
also, if we're paying more than half of it, then there should be a say there, and it's our property. So I
But we need
get
to
with
find
that.
out.
I agree with Chris. Anyway, I think we should defer it because we have no information, so we're just
It's been
kind of
moved by
stalling.
Aaron, is there a second to defer this for more information?
I'll second.
Aguari?
It may also be helpful to maybe to invite Sam to come in and speak to her proposal.
Okay,
And that way she can
Motion.
answer questions directly.
motion it's been moved, is there anybody opposed to that motion? Seeing, anybody opposed, seeing none, the motion is carried. Thank you, Tom.
Thanks,
So
Tom.
Tom, if you can get that information for council, that would be great.
The information, I
Well,
thought,
like what's it gonna cost, tendering, are they gonna tender it out? Do they have estimates? What about the submission that they're gonna send in to get some funding?
okay, we can make those requests.
And I guess then you should be
I
making
can
a
help.
recommendation too. Is this something that you agree with? And do you have money in case the department can't provide it to cover the shortfall?
Again, housing has the revenue, but every dollar that we spend is less money that goes back out into the mortgages. So yes, there is a revenue source that could pick that difference up. I would have to defer to Cecil to whether or not the cash flow for the upcoming year can sustain it. I agree with Chris's approach that it should be a competitive process, whether that's a tender or at least in the absence of time, ensuring that she's getting 3 quotes. One for transparency, 2 for to ensure that we're getting value for dollar. I am reluctant though to put a recommendation on whether or not we do anything on that building after the last project.
Okay, you might want to check with FedDev Southern Ontario because they might be able to cover some of that cost too. Because employment and training leads to employment, right?
She's saying that they're covering it. ALFDC is covering all this.
But they want
But
to take
what-
a third of the cost and take it off the rent.
But
Right.
if you can get a grant, then it'll be, your revenue will come back to the band sooner.
Right. But we need to know what that is.
So that's why I would say always look for government grants, and then it's less money that we have to wait for. We'll get revenue from the building sooner. Okay, Shelley, there was a motion moved by Aaron and seconded by Ori to defer this for more information. And Tom knows what to do, and so he'll follow up and give.
I'll work with you, Tom.
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Tom.
Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Tom. Have a good day.
I'm sure you'll
Only
catch him
Giwagi,
later.
Tom.
I'm sure you'll catch him later for something.
All right. Next item, we have business registration for Wolf Plumbing and Heating. The motion is to recommend to approve and sign. It's contractor, environmental fire inspections completed, industry qualifications provided, insurance is on file. Motion to approve.
I'll make the motion.
Worry. Is there a seconder?
I'll second.
Aaron? Anyone opposed?
I got a question first about these business registrations. This registration form was filled out September 14th, 2023, and it's just now coming to council.
There's a couple like that. I wondered as well what the,
Like the next one is my personal one that I'm not gonna say it, but like it's kind of,
It's usually the date of the inspections that
Yeah.
holds things up.
Maybe that's what the inspection might have held it up.
we can
No.
ask Lisa.
There
There
was
should be a date
COVID.
of the inspections.
There was.
well, like
co-
this one here, Scott did the fire inspection on October 25th. And then there doesn't say anything about the environmental inspection wasn't signed on the original one, but then
There was a
wasn't
period of
transferred.
time, Barry, when they weren't doing inspections because of the COVID outbreaks. And so that sort of got
The environmental just approved it on February 13th.
yeah.
Okay, so can you find out the reason for the delay in,
It's-
It's just timing for the.
as an action item?
Well, there's only one Megan.
Okay. Just, but note the counselor's request for an explanation as to why the delay. But I do remember they weren't doing inspections when there was COVID. I remember being told that. Is anyone opposed to approving the motion to approve it?
No. Oh, sorry. I guess
Anyone
that wasn't
opposed?
me.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The next item is the business registration for the Eastern Door Thrift Store.
I'll have to take a conflict on this one.
Pardon me?
I'll have to take a conflict on this one. That's
Conflicts of interest, okay. Okay. Thank you, Angela. Shelley?
I'm Angela.
Yeah. Okay, is there a motion to approve this business registration?
I'll make the motion.
Aaron, is there a second?
I'll second.
Linda, anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The next motion is business registration renewal for Smoke and Coffee Express. The recommendation is to approve and sign. Gas station and convenience store is the nature of the business. Environmental and fire inspections have been completed. TSSA license has been provided. The ECC numbers provided and insurance is on file.
I will, oh, I'll
Is there a
second.
motion to approve?
Yep,
Eric.
Okwari.
Aaron and Aguari?
Yep.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. There's a business registration renewal for Peacemaker Convenience. It's a gas station. The environmental and fire inspection is completed. The TSSA license has been provided. The ECC numbers have been provided. Insurance is on file.
Yep.
Motion to approve.
I'll motion.
Aaron, who will second it?
I'll second.
Oguari? Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The business registration renewal for Build All Contractors. It's fire and environmental inspections completed, personal use fuel tank, ECC number provided, insurance is on file.
I'll motion.
Yes. Is there a mover? Chris
I'll second.
and Aguari. Chris Brandt and Aguari is moving. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. The business registration for 1610617 Ontario Limited, Build All Limited Contractor Company. It's a limited number company, 1610617 Ontario Limited, Build All Limited Company, environmental and fire inspections completed and insurance is on file. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Moved by Aaron and seconded by Aguari. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. The next item of business is the Land Ambulance Services Agreement. MBQ is in receipt of the Land Services Agreement from the Corporation of the County of Hastings. Please see the briefing note. TMC, a recommendation that council approve option 1 and sign the land transfer service agreement with the Corporation of the County of Hastings. And this does not prejudice in any way our ability to get our own service, but this
No,
is
it doesn't. I had a meeting with Susan on this.
so it'll get the service up and operating and going, which I think we need.
Because right now we don't have the facility to, well, we could probably put it in the fire hall, but we don't have staffing. Or to have a 911 service here and this ambulance. So they're partnering up with the county. So the county's gonna be, there'll be no cost to MBQ. So it's just gonna be an agreement with us and the county.
Okay.
There are some repairs that have to be done, or some work that has to be done over there. Just sent Peter sent an agreement and stuff like that, and the money is, there's money there to cover it and everything, but the staffing component and the equipment and all that stuff is through the county or the Corporation of County of Hastings.
So
It's not ours.
that building has to be expanded to accommodate the ambulance, is that correct? Or is there a bay there already for it?
No, I thought it was a bay there already.
Not for the ambulance.
On the end of the fire hall, I think, because I
They're gonna build up the
talked
ambulance.
with Scott about it, and he said that they're gonna they're planning an addition for the ambulance service right out of that. They said they do have the facility for the ambulance itself, and they've made room in the end bay for the ambulance to leave from here. Said, but, what you're talking about here is that it's coming, dispatch is coming from the county.
Well, because that's where their calls will come into.
Exactly, the dispatch, but the ambulance will be here, right?
Right, but To be
Because we
clear,
don't have because my understanding is that we ain't gonna have the staff to be able to staff those calls that are coming in right now. So the
they have
county's
to hire
gonna
addition.
Yeah, they
help
have
us with
to.
that.
But to be clear,
Or-
this ambulance is not strictly for this territory.
No, it's not, it's
It's
for
a part of the
the
area, so if they get a call out and go to Belleville or whatever, they'll go to Belleville, but if something happens here during that time, they'll get the next closest ambulance to address it. So it's a part of the whole great big area. This is like a satellite type office. I think there's several of them.
Yeah,
Is there anybody using the old fire hill? Just temporary till the new buildings, until like the addition's built for them at the fire hill?
They're not even going to be operational until, I think they said, going towards September.
Okay,
By the time they hire staff, because there's
Okay,
problems bringing people on and stuff like that.
okay.
But it's something they can, I know that Susan and Scott have been talking quite a bit, so. But if there's a necessary, I'm sure we can look at it. Right now, there's a school bus over there in the old fire hall,
Yeah.
TTO school bus. But if we need to look at that, I'm sure we can do that.
I thought the old fire hall was gonna be torn down.
Maybe eventually.
I have documents on that building, chief, that the government condemned it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I have them,
Um,
as the old chief.
from a long time ago, I'm sure.
Yes, I got them, yeah. Month on it,
so this, we will be hiring,
No,
No,
Hastings County
No.
is-
sorry,
the ambulance service will,
they'll do all that.
yes.
But we're
Yeah.
gonna provide funding for,
No.
no
the-
cost to us.
oh,
The ministry has
It's
approved.
just an
The Ministry of
agreement.
Health
they're gonna
has
agree to
approved
fund
it.
it,
okay.
like a satellite. Whatever they wanna call it.
They're just doing an agreement with us to have it here.
Okay.
Well, I motion,
To approve it,
And I second it.
to sign the agreement with Hastings
It's a
County.
race.
that's very good.
Who's seconding? Who's arm wrestling for?
It's been moved by, just wait. It's my job to chair the meeting. Everybody's butting into the chief's job here. It's my, Chris is moving it. Who's seconding it?
Well, I'd like to say that it was it's part of my portfolio. If you
Okay. Give Linda the privilege. Do you want to second the motion?
Yeah, Linda.
It's been moved by Chris Brandt and seconded by Linda, okay?
Support it
very much.
aggressively.
Isn't it? I think it's under you, isn't it?
It is under Gory.
Go the rest of
To sign the agreement with Hastings County for ambulance services.
That's cool.
Is there anyone opposed?
No.
Motion's carried.
Did you sign the agreement, chief?
I did.
Thank you.
Chris Brandt. Linda Louise.
Well, the next one.
The Kara?
Yeah. His Majesty the King and Right of Ontario is represented by the Minister of Tourism and Culture and Sport, the province, and the Mohawk Indian Band.
Okay.
I know, they keep doing that. So we've been fighting with them to try and change it. Some of them come up Mohawk Indian Band. Some of them now will come up Mohawk Indian Band, otherwise known as Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte, because one is the name and the other is the operating name. From what I understand, the Mohawk Indian Band came about way back in the day when we registered with Revenue Canada. And that's how, I'm assuming, Chief, that might have been done when the Indian agent was here potentially, and that's what they called it. We're trying to get that changed, but we're also having to go through a process with Revenue Canada to actually change the name from Mohawk Indian Band to Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte. So what the T-Pons, the people, the ministry, have come up with is this, otherwise known as Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte in brackets. I asked them, I said, why are some of them say Mohawk Indian Band? Why do some of them say Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte? And the lady that I was talking to only could answer like the Ontario work section type of thing. She's like, I don't know, we'll have to find out, but we're trying to get it all worked out. I know you don't like it, Chief, but we are trying to get it resolved.
Okay, good, that's fine. Really, it should be just all under the name Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte.
I know, but what they're doing is using Revenue Canada, which is when it was registered, what, 1959 or whatever? Like, I don't even know when it got registered. And I just said maybe it was the Indian agent there. I don't know. Whoever registered
Before my
it
time.
under Revenue Canada called it Mohawk Indian Band.
Okay.
And that's what we have to get changed, but this is what T-Pon's using. Their compromise is putting O/A, otherwise known as Mohawks of the Bay Quinte in brackets.
Okay.
Until we can get all this worked out,
That's what
this
it
is
is.
kind of what we got at this point.
Anyway, we signed it to get the money, so that's,
I signed it because it was time sensitive.
So we're just acknowledging that we agree.
We're-
I'll make that.
We're putting it into the minutes so that way you can see the.
so anyway, the Community Aboriginal Activator, Recreation Activator Agreement, there's a motion to, and of course, it's got OA Mohawks of the Bay of Quinte.
Yep, otherwise known as.
So is there a motion to sign, have authorize Angela to sign this agreement because there was a deadline and council wasn't
I already
available?
did it.
Motion to approve? Aaron, who will second it?
I will.
Linda,
Is that a
anyone opposed?
agreement every year or? Yeah. That's too bad.
Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. Hearing none, motion's carried.
That would be correct.
Remember, people are listening, so you have to speak into the mic if you're going to move or second. And when I say, oh, hearing none, is anyone opposed where I don't hear anything? Then I will say the motion's carried. Okay, you don't have to answer. One-time funding for the roof replacement. And Tracy Bunnett wants to put a new roof on the home support center located across from the community center. And motion is there's $12,960 one-time funding from Ontario Health. Is motion to approve.
I'll motion.
And I'll second.
Aaron and Linda. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. That roof will get fixed, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
See, this is a different department, and this says Mohawk Indian Band, but not the old Mohawks Bay Quinte. Like we're trying to battle through it all to get it all
Yeah,
fixed
that'd be the difference.
overall.
So MBQ has been in receipt of the Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement from the Ministry of Health for Indigenous Mental Health and Addiction Workers, $338,125. Indigenous Professional Development Fund, $18,473, and the Indigenous Youth Life Promotions Program, $207,141 for a total of $563,639. That council approve and sign the Ontario Transfer Payment Agreement in the amount of $563,639 for the fiscal year 23-24 for the delivery of Indigenous Mental Health and Addictions Program, Professional Development Fund, and the Indigenous Youth Life Promotion Program. Is there a motion to sign this agreement? Do I have a mover?
I will move.
Moved by Linda
I'll second.
and seconded by Aguari. Is anybody opposed? Is anybody opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
You'll have to put your name in there too, because Susan can't sign. Or doesn't have the authority to bind.
Hold on here. I'll initial these pages here. Boy, they really have you write a book, don't they, to get that small amount of money?
Well, Chief signing that, Linda, you might know, for the next one, is that money we've already received, or we're just going to receive that, and it has to be spent by the end of this fiscal?
Yep.
Does she already have a plan for it?
Sorry?
Does she already have a plan for it? Oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Yep, she's already made contact with 3 consultants. 1 can't do anything, 2 have offered, and they're going to do kind of a survey regarding the treatment center.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very quick turnaround.
Good.
Typical. Unfortunately, it's typical.
Yeah, that's okay. As long as they have a plan and they're gonna use it, then yeah.
Nope, but she sent an email.
That's the one-time funding?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The 50 or something, isn't it? 50?
Yeah.
50,000.
Yep. Yep. There is a plan.
So the next one that's approved. The Ontario Mental Health and Addiction One-Time Funding Agreement. TMC acknowledged and approved to sign the Ontario Mental Health and Addictions One-Time Funding Agreement in the amount of $50,000. Motion to approve.
I'll move.
I will second.
That's Linda and Aaron. Alan Pratt invoices. See the folder. Okay. Okay, motion to acknowledge the credit resulting from an overpayment of Alan Pratt invoice.
Motion, Chief.
To acknowledge it.
I move, Chief.
Curtis will second it.
I'll second that.
Chris Brandt. Is anyone opposed? To acknowledge a credit note from Alan Pratt because due to an overpayment. Motion's carried. Derek Wong's invoices. Motion to pay the invoices.
I'll motion.
Second, Chief.
Curtis. It should be noted in the minutes what these payments are for, so we,
It is.
okay. Okay.
Yes.
Aaron and Curtis. The motion is carried. Request for dates. Request for dates for training for TMC. This is from Kelly from the HR department, seeking a full day lateral violence awareness training full day for workplace violence and harassment training. Provide a few dates that all TMC would be available to attend, and we can work to find in-house trainers. Provide training on the 2 days selected. Take out your calendars. What days can you be here? Give me some suggested dates. So I'll start with my calendar. The office is closed this Friday for midwinter. The 26th is full. The 27th is full. The 28th is the meeting with the Hastings County. The 29th is Southeast.
Can we look into
The
March?
first day that I have available is the Friday, the 1st of March.
I can do that Friday.
I'm good with that Friday too.
And which Friday is that, Aaron?
The 1st of
March
March.
1st.
April first.
Yeah, shoot, I thought it was March.
Just
April Fool's.
April, hey.
First to the 12th.
We're in April.
Then the next day I have available is the 25th or 26th of March. The 1st, 25, 26. Which day just works for council? Does the 1st of March work for everybody? Does the 25th or 26th work for everybody?
The first doesn't work for me. I have a doctor's appointment on the 1st of March.
What about the 25th of March?
I'm good for that.
What about the 25th or 26th?
I'm good for both dates.
Is there anybody who's not available the 25th or 26th of
I
March?
think the
gotta-
26th we're away.
Isn't that all night?
Yeah. The
What's that?
26th,
I
27th?
thought the Oneida was the
26th, isn't that
Oh,
all?
yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it was the 27th and 28th.
27th, 28th.
It's not in my calendar.
I thought it was the 27th and
No,
28th.
27th to 28th.
Yeah, for Oneida, Curtis,
You're right.
27th and 28th.
Okay.
I've got a.
Yeah, because the
big
Oneida is
meeting.
27th, 28th.
27th.
I got a big Winnie Regional
I
Marketing
thought it
Board
was the
thing on the
26th,
26th.
27th.
So is the 25th available then?
Yeah, 25th.
Is there anybody who can't come March 25th? Oh, Barry's good. Linda, you're good. Chris, are you good? Are you good, Aaron, for the 25th?
I think so. Yeah.
Are you good for the 25th, Curtis? And you're good? So let's have a motion, March the 25th then.
For one day, and then we gotta find a second.
Because they're looking for two full
And
days.
that's labeled as,
Maybe they can combine it in one day. Let's try that, but let's get going with it.
I don't know, she said it's 2 full days.
Yeah.
Hmm?
She said it's 2 full days.
Some of the training's required by.
Well, then the next 2 full days I would have available with the 1st and 2nd of April.
Well, you've got one date of the 25th, right?
Yeah.
So you just need one other date.
April 1st or 2nd? Anybody who's not available?
Well, April 1st is Easter Monday,
Right. So
so I'm not available for that day because I
What
have
about
an
the
Easter egg
2nd?
hunt.
The 2nd then?
Yeah, I can do the 2nd.
Anybody who can't do the 2nd? Is there anybody who's not available for the 2nd of April? Can we have a motion then to select those dates?
I'll motion.
Moved by Oguari,
what are we motioning this?
to select March the 25th and April the 2nd.
I know, but where are we heading?
It's-
HR
it's
training, lateral
HR. Lateral violence and harassment training. Governance training. Is there a seconder for Oguari's motion?
I'll second.
Linda? Select March the 25th and April the 2nd. Is there anyone who's opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none?
What time?
Hearing? Would start at 9 o'clock in the morning. She'll send you the facilitators dates and might start a bit later, might start early, we don't know.
sounds like they're doing it in-house.
Yeah. MBQ Health and Safety Policy, terms of reference. The Workplace Health and Safety Committee terms of reference. The Health and Safety Manual chapter entitled Workplace Safety and Committee has been prepared in collaboration with the Workplace Health and Safety Committee for TMC approval. The WHSC terms of reference chapter is part of the development of an MBQ Health and Safety Policy Manual. This draft chapter has been reviewed by the WHSC and the executive team and policy analysts. The recommendation is to approve the Workplace Health and Safety Committee chapter of the Health and Safety Manual. Motion to include this chapter.
Motion.
I'll
Moved by
second
Aaron
you.
I'll second.
and Curtis.
Got to talk louder.
Anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried. The MBQ Health and Safety Policy Responsibilities. The Health and Safety Manual chapter entitled Health and Safety Responsibilities has been prepared in collaboration with the Workplace Health and Safety Committee for Council's approval. The Health and Safety Responsibilities chapter is part of the work being conducted by the WSIB's Excellence Program and the development of an MBQ Health and Safety Policy Manual. This draft chapter has been reviewed by the WHSC, the executive team, and the policy analysts. The recommendation is that Council approve the Health and Safety Responsibilities chapter of the draft Health and Safety Manual. Does Council approve? If so, can I have a mover?
I'll move.
Moved by Aaron. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I'll second.
Ogwari? There's a number 23 there for the Health and Safety Leadership Commitment Policy. We'll label that one number 23, 22A.
I think I just did that one.
It's 23.
Ready?
Should be 21, 22, and 23.
Yeah,
for those.
23 is not on my agenda.
It should on the back of the paper. On the back.
Oh, I see. Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Is there a motion? So the Health and Safety Manual chapter entitled Leadership Commitment has been prepared in collaboration with the Workplace Health and Safety Committee for Council's approval. The Leadership Committee chapter is part of the work being conducted for the WSIB Excellence Program and the development of MBQ Health and Safety Policy Manual. This draft chapter has been reviewed by WHSC and the executive team and the policy analysts. The recommendation is that Council approve the Leadership Committee chapter of the draft Health and Safety Manual. Is there a motion to include this?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
Aaron and Awari. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the motion is carried.
Question?
I just wanted to let you know that those two dates are confirmed.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Angela.
March 25th and April 2nd. Everything's confirmed.
Good
And
work.
9 o'clock is good.
And
So-
that'll be here in?
I'll let you know for
Oh,
sure.
okay.
Who's
Thank
that? Is
you.
it-
So the upcoming meetings are February the 28th is the local council business meeting. March the 4th is the Mohawk regular council meeting. March the 13th is the Mohawk Council Local Business. March the 20th is the regular council meeting. March the 27th is the local council business meeting. April 3rd is the regular council meeting. April 10th is the local business council meeting. April 16th is the regular council business meeting. April 23rd is the local business. That concludes the public portion of our, and then Chris is also noted.
Chris,
Pardon me? Okay, I don't have the add-ons.
They just, Anne's just given it to us.
Okay, then she's probably printing my copy then.
not sure what time I gave it to you when she gave Chris his. You got yours, right?
Yes, I got mine right there. There's two add-ons, All Saints, Church, natural gas conversion.
So just so that you know, the legal status of the churches, a corporation cannot own property on the reserve, and the churches are corporations. And so okay, let's see.
This is what we were given, so it might be here.
You sure?
This is what Anne's gave me.
Okay, let's see.
Yeah,
here.
is that it?
All right, she gave you that?
This is what she gave me earlier, yes. I think she put it on your desk yet, too.
I think it's that,
No, this is Chris's stuff. I don't have it.
oh, that one there.
Is this fine?
That's yours.
Whether they're the same ones or not.
Oh, yeah. Looks
Yeah,
like
it is. It is here.
Is it? Okay.
You know, when things fly in at the last minute, when council's in session.
Sorry.
I think there was.
Wait,
were-
you're
Okay.
better than me.
They're in that.
I think they were time sensitive.
Let's call this one number 24. It'll be the All Saints conversion to natural gas.
So the band does own the church?
The band owns both churches, Christ Church and All Saints, but not the Pentecostal Church. There are trustees that hold that, but again, the department is not recognizing that, so I don't know where does that stand. They were going to transfer their interest to the band. Have those certificates of possession been transferred to the band? Angela, can you get an update for council next council day?
Sorry, an update on,
The Pentecostal Church, have they transferred? Because I think
Has been
quite a few
transferred
of
to
the
the band?
trustees were dead or something like that, if I recall correctly.
sorry, I'm just clarifying, you want to know if the Pentecostal church has been transferred to the band?
Yeah, but I know Christ Church and All Saints are band property, so therefore this would be connection to a band building. If a corporation owned it, it wouldn't be reserved land, it would be non-native land. That land has never been surrendered to enable them to own it. So therefore, there's two ways to hold land on the reserve. One is you have to be a band member or the band as a whole. That's the only two ways to hold reserve land. Corporations do not own Indian land. They can lease it, but they can't own it. So the owner insures the property.
Chief?
Chris?
What is the relevance of the Pentecostal church in regards to the request for a?
Well, the question is that there's a difference between the ownership there and here. There never have been that kind of setup. It's a different setup for Christchurch. It's always been band property.
Not always.
Well, the band built those buildings.
Yeah, but they were under the church's control until.
Well, the wardens supposedly looked after it, but it wasn't their property because the council let them do that. But the title of the property is with the band, so it's band property. And we insure those two churches.
So are you looking for a motion regarding the
Yeah,
request?
the-
I'll move, simply because it makes sense to have a high efficiency furnace in there.
Where does the funding come from?
I'll second that motion.
Where does the funding come from?
It'll come out of band property maintenance.
Actually, Cecil had wrote, Tom and I to say that there is enough in COVID funds that have to be spent by the end of this fiscal to cover it.
Okay.
Okay?
Perfect. There you go.
Sorry, I missed you.
Chris and Chris.
Chris?
So the motion is to approve, MBQ cover the cost of $20,595 to convert the building's existing furnace to natural gas at All Saints Church and Queen Anne Hall. Is anyone opposed? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion is carried. Got to note this here on the agenda. That'll be number 24. So number 25 will be AI portfolios. Discussion do not require staff as it's purely a political decision. So, Chris, you had this on. Let's deal with the next one. We'll deal with the new emergency shelter project funding.
And this
So
is,
that's number 25?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's because of an upcoming proposal deadline. On March 1st.
I had a call from the media about this. They seem to think that One Front Street Belleville was going to be the women's shelter. Said no, it's an apartment building. There's lower than market rent, but it's not RGI, and it's not. There's 20 units like that, and there's 18 that are market value rent. So but really, it's a corporation, and Richard Summers should be answering these questions because there's a board of directors, and usually the president of the corporation would answer media inquiries. Even though we are a partner, we are still not their communications officer for their business. So motion then to acknowledge the completed Class A and detailed design and approve and submit a funding application to Indigenous Shelters and Transitional Housing Initiative for a total project budget of $9,127,992 that include a $3,480,000 contribution from CMHC and $5,647,992 contribution from MBQ. It's also recommended that a request be sent to Indigenous Services Canada for a $3,480,000 contribution to seek other funding partners to reduce MBQ's contribution. Does council agree with this submission? If so, I'll need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
It's moved by Aguirre. And my understanding from what I've heard from staff is that the existing women's shelter will turn into a men's shelter. Is that still the plan, Angela?
That's my last recollection, Chief.
It's been moved by Aguirre to make this submission and seek this other funding.
Chris got a question.
Chris?
So I have some concerns, and it's regarding if the intention is to go net zero certified, what is the increased cost? I understand we got partners, but if it costs millions and millions extra just to get a certification, I can't support that. And
Well, really what they should be looking to, if they're going to go zero carbon certified, they should be going to Infrastructure Canada, the DMAT. It's a DMAT.
I know, but we gave direction probably a year and a half ago. I tabled that, say, let's have our minimum standard across the board is net zero ready, and that was sent off to study. And we haven't heard back from that yet, Chief. And the reason I say that, for 30 years, 3 decades, I traveled to Turtle Island saying, don't do things like crawl space. Don't do things like, it's just silly. There's slab on grade or a good basement, but don't do a crawl space. I was project manager for the Mohawk Bay Equine net zero project, and we built a crawl space. And it's just, how do I hang my hat on going back 30 years? So I just don't want to make that same mistake a year later. So what is the difference between net zero certified, net zero ready? And if it's millions of dollars just to get that shiny trinket that's called certified, no. There's a thing called diminishing returns. If you guys
Okay,
spend
so-
millions on
okay, but
renewables, it doesn't make sense.
But that's all part of the architect who's designing this here. This is really just to ask to build, for funding to build it.
I know, but if I sit here and say I support this, I don't want someone saying 5 months from now, well, Chris, why did you approve net zero certified? If it's a multi-million-dollar just to hang my hat on it, no, I can't support that, chief.
Okay, so then is Tom, can we get him
Clarity.
on-
He doesn't have to come in. He can just provide a report saying net zero ready, net zero certified. Here's a price difference.
Okay,
This
but he
says
might
the
be able to- he
inclusion
might
of
be able
net
to
zero
answer that
carbon
really-
certification is expected to contribute an approximate increase of 30% to the project cost.
30%.
That's what it says in the.
So
Okay,
$3
no.
million.
So we're looking at a $3 million upgrade if it's 30%.
But I guess, are the funders requiring that? Because with the carbon reduction strategy of the government itself, are they requiring that?
I think
Has
if you,
has a funder changed their priority? Because a long time ago, carbon reduction was not even on the political agenda, but now it's very much at the forefront.
But what
of the
this is
government's
something that we
agenda.
have to be very clear on, because like Chris had stated, is that at the end of the day, if we have to be working out more just because it's certified, yeah.
Well, I can tell you, our long-term care is net zero carbon, and actually that increased the budget enough for us to be able to afford to build that building. That's where the 25 million came from.
I'm just saying, chief, I have enough experience with the two. And I'm still working on that report from a year ago saying, here's the
Okay,
difference
so
between
you-
chief and council.
So which do you prefer to be built according to what standard then?
Okay, well, we're hearing it's 3 million more. I'd be asking this, I wouldn't even be asking the government. I would just tell them we're going to go net zero ready, and they wouldn't even know the difference. And then we saved the $3 million potentially. But there's a price to pay for renewables and for hanging our hat on this
Net zero
net zero ready.
ready, okay.
The inclusion of net zero carbon.
But not net zero certified.
I'm open to show me the numbers, chief. I'm sure council would like to have, there is the numbers this way, there is the numbers that way. You go in eyes wide open. I've done these projects, chief,
Okay.
and
Well, anyway, if this submission has to go in, we need to know what we're submitting for. And if that's part of the criteria.
They did, it, wasn't this all done with the previous council? Like it showing that all of that background information was done starting in February 2022.
The council wasn't involved in the discussion concerning this, so I don't know what the answer is to that question. So Susan, like
It
we were,
says
we
in
were aware
February
they're gonna build
20
a new shelter. At some point in time, they're gonna seek funding at a high level, but we didn't know the details of what the design.
All the
In February
design, I thought, did come.
2022, the Tyendinaga
they
Mohawk
not?
Council
Yes, the
approved to
design did come
obtain
here.
K.L. Martin and Associates for the feasibility and detailed design of a new emergency shelter to replace the existing red cedar shelter, including a total project budget of $218,000.
And does that say it's net zero or net certified?
Later down in here, it says the current design includes a commitment to achieve net zero carbon certification. This will help reduce operating costs while at the same time providing the project with a better chance of securing federal funding. The inclusion of net zero carbon certification is expected to contribute an approximate increase of 30% to the project
Okay,
cost.
and so now net zero certified, your application is looked more favorably by the government, which is what I just said. Is that part of the government criteria now with this carbon reduction strategy? Because they've changed the rules about getting money, and a lot of projects are looking for this net zero. But whether it's net zero certified or not, that's part of it. There seems to be a difference between the two.
I'm not understanding it myself.
I don't
To be
either.
honest, I'm not really understanding it because
So,
of
the-
lack of experience.
All I'm
Yeah,
hearing is
so-
the 3 million.
To get net zero certified, you pretty well have to use renewables, wind, solar, etc. To get net solar ready, you just focus on the envelope solar orientation. You haven't spent a gazillion dollars on renewables yet. but you got it ready for the day when the removals
So that's
make
like
sense.
windows and doors and
I
stuff
think you
like
need to be
that.
calling Tom. Yeah. If you have
Yeah.
questions, then you need
Yeah.
to talk.
So I'm pretty sure there was a motion from a year ago saying, bring it back, the
On a
analysis.
study? Correct. That's
Well, I
what
thought they
read.
wanted to study. No, there's a motion, I made the motion, but they said, well, let's study it before we'll approve that, and I'm waiting for that cost analysis to come back.
The
And I'm
motion
pretty sure
was,
a year ago?
Well, anyway, if we don't get on with this, we're gonna lose the ability to get funding, so we better make up our mind.
As I said, Chief, I'm okay approval in principle, but I will not hang my hat on something that costs potentially, I'm not saying it's going to, potentially millions and millions in renewables, just to hang my hat on that.
Well, this is just seeking the funding first, right? So I'll second whoever motioned that to seek out the funding.
I motion.
Is anybody opposed to seeking out the funding? I guess you better have a meeting with the staff about this here, net zero ready and net zero certified. We better make sure and if there's any communication that council doesn't support the net zero certified, we better write a letter to these funders and let them know ahead of
If
time.
we can get the funding saying it's net zero ready, we can avoid that 30% upcharge in the cost by not having to do all those renewables right yet.
But if they're looking for net zero certified and that
Yeah.
triggers approval of your money, that may frustrate the getting approval, any kind of approval at all. So I don't know. All I can tell you is we were able with net zero certified for our building, in the design of it, we got $25 million and it didn't cost anywhere near that. So that extra money helped us build that building. That's where 80 million, where we made up the 80 million.
The long-term one.
If not, we would have been $25 million short.
As I said, I'm okay approval in principle, but I think we should all know going forward what the costs between the two are.
Exactly, I
As
agree with
opposed to
that.
I just go that way because someone told me to. No, I want to see a cost benefit analysis.
So the council's not been involved with the engineers or the design or that kind of thing. And so that's been pretty much dealt with at a staff level.
I still think you should have called Tommy in to answer.
Get him on the line, then maybe he can shed
He
some
said
light
the
on this.
shelter was approved under the last council at like 400 less. Got their approval, taken to TNT prior to get their approval to go with net zero. Can't change now that it's designed. Understanding is it's about 30% difference. This was looked at before we proceeded to the design and approved. So we're already past this stage. Should we call them in then or what?
Call him in and have a discussion.
Basically.
It's been approved, but it's with the motions. Is anybody opposed to the motion, by the way, to submit for the funding net ready? Okay, that motion is carried. Then call him in just to have the discussion. Maybe he can, we don't fully understand the difference between two or the implications for funding.
A motion was passed to acknowledge the update and approve the project to continue with the detailed design as presented.
Chief, might suggest we move forward because I don't think Tom's gonna be able to clarify it, and I'd be happy to get, I got no problem approval in principle, but we should have some clarity.
Forward. Yeah, totally fine by me. We've got lots of things to cruise on, and I think we might need, when we do some private things, one of the staff before they go home. Not to sound nefarious, not nefarious.
Back in 23, when they approved it in August, the current design was committed to achieve net zero carbon certification within the previous month.
And who moved the motion and who did, was anybody abstaining from it? How was it?
There was no negative vote.
And who moved it and who seconded it? Pardon me?
I should have the agenda page.
Okay. So then if it's already been approved by a previous council, then that's why the engineer went ahead and designed it that way.
All approved.
So why are we, if it's already been approved, what's it even, why is it even here then?
Approved and done the design.
It's, well, because you're gonna try and get the funding, you're getting, get the funding to go ahead with it. But I had a call from the media about this here, and of course, there's been no project approved yet or funded, and so I don't know where they got their information from. Who's running to the media?
So it was, moved by Chris, seconded by Stacia, to acknowledge the updated and improve the new shelter project and continue with the detailed design as presented. That was in the minutes. Approved it.
As presented.
Yeah.
And what was presented was
The
net,
net zero carbon certification.
okay? And that was on the agenda page.
And it's in the minutes as presented to people on the review.
Okay, I guess the council approved it then.
Sounds like your
Yeah.
motion.
That's a motion, that's, we approved it. That's all we can do too.
So the engine is pretty far down the track at this stage.
And it's got a caboose on it too.
No, there's no more cabooses. There's no more cabooses, Chris.
Talk
They-
about
they've
your
got
own
rid of it.
caboose,
Anyway, that's gotta be, we've gotta go with it. We've gotta.
So sometimes I think what,
apply for
this is what can happen though, sometimes when things are just put on the agenda for council growth.
So did we make a
And it's
motion?
process,
Yep.
it's process. Seek the funding,
Then
seek
we
out the
do-
funding.
Then that's it.
Let's
Motion approved.
keep her cruising.
Perfect.
Okay.
Doing good.
Oh yeah, we motored through there.
So AI portfolio committees, discussion, decision do not require staff recommendations. It's pure political decision. Should this be in camera or in public?
Camera maybe?
Chris?
Well, actually.
Everything
it's
else
public,
is-
But I don't care.
Oh. I
Well,
don't know.
it's your agenda item,
Oh,
so,
I'm okay. Well, maybe do it in camera.
okay.
I think the
That's
rest
okay.
of, that was the last of the things that were in regular, wasn't it?
No. Factory, the petroleum parks,
The corporate lawyer,
These are the handouts if you're.
tiny house versus,
Okay.
would you say peers or something? Legal or cost analysis? Air bear lane.
Yeah.
I thought these weren't gonna be dealt with today, or are they?
Well, I put them on the agenda last Friday, chief, before the deadline.
No, the deadline was Wednesday, but the agenda was already done Friday. I sent you an email
Are
explaining
these all
what happened.
in camera, or are they, which ones are public, which ones are?
The one is gentleman,
That's
Trillium,
private.
is that public?
Trillium Public.
The new arbor should be public.
Yep. Yeah, those are all the same
The
concept.
Trillium, new arbor. New arbor. Oh, these packets are already put together. Okay, thank you.
Oh, they just-
Three, there's some, send that down that way. Send these down this way. These go down that way, Chris. Okay, thank you. So
what do you have there first, chief?
let's do the new arbor. So really, the arbor does need to be replaced. I mean, there's been a Band-Aid approach to that. Sometimes the wires that are holding it up together, I wonder how long it's gonna, before it'll break and hurt somebody. So there should be a new arbor.
Yes, I
Earl and Clell and Willard built that many years ago.
And it's going to be a safety issue now?
And is this
Back in the
number?
day.
They're not numbers, sorry, Chris, but that's Trillium.
So just so you don't get too far ahead of yourself on the agenda, let's number that one.
And Trillium is the one to pay for it or whatever?
This will be item number 40.
I said, is Shelley willing to pay for a new
Yeah,
one?
They
I-
typically
I-
are, it's all funding based and typically they look at that. We've been telling the powwow committee for last year or two, we're gonna get something moving forward.
We have to submit a proposal.
Who does the proposal? What's that? Who does the proposal?
I'll have to figure it out. Tommy, maybe?
Okay.
I don't know. Chief, was there? a
And I would
motion on
say
that?
Fed Dev Tourism of Southern Ontario.
Chief, I'm asking, was there a motion on that?
No, I'm just gonna, just writing down. Can we have a motion then to seek out funding for a new overnight suggested contact from Fed Dev Southern Ontario?
I'll motion that.
Chris Brandt and Ogwari. Anyone opposed? Seeing none, the motion's carried. The next item is the Hareberry Lane.
What's our normal process for naming roads and laneways? Just out of curiosity.
Sometimes they put it out to the community, sometimes the council's just decided. Normally, the practice, I would say, it's not a policy, it's a practice here, is they, the council, usually named it after whoever lived along that road, like there's Sadie's Lane because she lived there.
Yeah.
There's Iva's Road because she owned the property there, then there Iona Loft lived there, so they call it
Clarence's
Iona.
Clarence's Road.
Clarence's Road, Clarence Brandt's family lived there.
Johnson.
Johnson's Lane, Johnson lived over there. Gussie's Lane, the Gussie Brandt lived back in there.
And the only one we didn't have any input was the one on North Street, because they called it North instead of the Flats, because that's what we know it as.
And people that lived back on the flats were Greens. The Green family.
But it was always called either Sesame Street or the Flats,
Sesame
is
Street.
what it was always called.
I was new as the
Always
flats, the flats.
Always.
They called it the mud flats because the road used to get so muddy back there. They called it the mud flats.
And the water was way over your hip. That's why we had lips.
And the only thing, the only thing that changed when they named the road, the lanes, I mean, the Wyman's Road used to be called the Drummy Side Road because Mrs. Brett Drummy lived at the end there. And then Bell's Road, when I was a kid, it was called Joe Miracle's Side Road because that house what Scott Miracle lives in, that was the only house there. And Joe Miracle built that house, so the old people called it Joe Miracle's Side Road.
And that's
But
what
then-
my parents called
But
it.
then they changed it to Bell's Road because Lena Bell, Mrs. Elliott, her family leased that land, then they called it Bell's Road, but really Joe Miracle owned that farm.
Is it just unnamed now?
And then Gypsy Lane, I don't know how that got its name. Do
I'm
you,
trying to-
Curtis, know how Gypsy Lane got its name?
Do I know how?
Yeah,
No.
but that was always called Gypsy
Oh, yes, I
Lane.
do know. Now I remember. Yeah, I do.
How was it? Why is that?
So right across the road, right from the corner, my nephew lives, Corey. And so in that old house, I forget whose it was. It had something to do with my relations. Way back in the early '60s, that there used to be people just staying in there, and they all did dress like gypsies. I'm telling you, they did. So that ended up, that's what they just started calling it from then. Like nobody was living in that house, but it was like people just attracted to it, right? And you would get different people, like a lot of times, going and staying in there and then moving on, right? But
There was a house like that back on the north side.
it was a big two-story house.
There was a house back near, just below Pat and Rogers on the north side of the road. That was a two-story farmhouse. And there were people that like that. They weren't native. They would just move in there and stay there. I think the last people were Greaves were the people that stayed there. So people always wondered, who are those people that are there? And they just, it was vacant, so they went and lived there. We'll tell them.
I'm fine with this. Is this the correct spelling?
I know on the roads thing they had it spelled H-A-R-E. How Glenn Smoke spelled it.
That's how.
So
Oh, how do you guys spell
What is the
it?
proper spelling? What should,
H-A-R-E. and then parrot.
H-A-R-E, okay. R-E? R-E, okay.
Would you say Hareberry Lane?
Hareberry Lane.
That's what it's called, so I don't know, just come up with a name at that then?
But
And
Is
you're
it
sure,
a
Aguirre,
link?
that your family wouldn't be offended?
no, I asked mom, she said she don't care.
Is
Well,
it a
good.
lane?
Hmm?
Is it a lane?
It's
Do we need a motion
200
on that,
feet
chief?
long.
It has a,
Yeah, it's got turnaround.
Eh?
yeah.
We need a motion on that, chief?
Yeah, we do.
I move.
Moved by Curtis,
I'll second it.
An objective,
so a hare, you mean like a rabbit, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A hare and
Oh,
bear.
sorry.
Yes. Okay.
What's, tiny foundation code?
Costs?
Cost comparison for piers versus crawl space versus
What was that, so
ICF.
putting ICF in the ground rather than putting just piers, right? Like, I agree, that was a waste.
We'll cost it out. Like, we're in a housing crisis, and then we shouldn't bury houses in the ground, walk away from them. But anyways, a contractor has to, we'll do a comparison.
Here, let's, tiny home foundation costs.
Do we just need to review it, or?
Just give us a comparison.
So are you suggesting piers instead of a foundation?
Well, the plans, the engineered plans call for piers, and I'm just saying, in hindsight, let's learn from this experience. So that if I come back to do the same thing, you'll go, well, you know how much it costs to bury that?
Mm-hmm.
You know, you could have built another house.
So do we know, or are we're looking into it?
I'm requesting council approve housing provider report at some point. A month from now, whatever, but at some point, we should have a report, be able to hang our hat on saying, it's this or this, and this is the cost.
Yeah, well, we should know the difference in the costs of one or the other.
Well, to me,
Well, you could go on square foot. like
to me,
price per
I
square
prefer a
foot.
foundation rather than sitting on piers, because I have seen buildings that have been sitting on blocks and foundations, and after a while, the floor starts to shift and it just, the floors start to sag.
What's ICF?
The
Has
insulated
tiny houses
concrete
been
blocks,
set on just slab on grade?
those insulation.
And then you get
so it's like
mice and everything
styrofoam,
else
concrete
going under
styrofoam.
there, and animals and
It's
everything
like you
else.
build them like Lego,
Chewing on,
Oh. And what's piers?
a concrete tube that goes in the ground. It's got a metal footing on it.
And those are better, or we don't want those?
for me, I prefer a
So,
foundation.
no, no.
You don't want mice
I don't
getting
know.
in there making mess, because you'll get a rat infested house.
I know, like, I know this has no relevance to up here, but down in New Jersey, my aunt and uncle, they have a house down there. And when they had that, I think it was Sandy came through there, Hurricane Sandy, there's a bunch of houses that got destroyed, and FEMA wouldn't pave to fix your house unless you agreed to put your house on piers to get it up out of the floodplain. So now my aunt and uncle declined the funding from FEMA, and their house is still on the ground while their neighbors are 30 feet in the air. Which looks silly.
So their motion is to request the MBT Housing provide a report on what?
Foundation cost.
On foundation costs.
I can agree for that.
Can we also add
Versus
uh,
peers.
some like information for me? 'Cause I don't know what either one of those are. Which one that what is what and what is better?
So these tiny homes that
And a
the
recommendation.
MBQ got that put in Shannonville, from my gathering, is that they were designed to be set on piers, which is just like pilings into the ground. So whether
Okay.
it's concrete or steel or whatever,
Right.
they're designed to be set on pilings. Well, when they put them in Shannonville, they used ICF, which is it's like an insulated basement basically
Right.
for these houses when it's not necessary.
Okay. Add that.
They're styrofoam block.
No, so you said like Legos? Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Filled with cement.
Well, yeah, they're put together
It's
with like,
insulated inside
pretty
outside
much.
block.
Yeah,
Very good at Legos.
and you build it like Lego.
That sounds fun. All right.
So the press, it's been moved by Chris Miracle, and who will second it, that housing provided report on this? Aguirre? The motion is carried. And that'll be item number 42 on the agenda.
42, isn't it 28?
No, is it? No.
He started it at 40.
Oh, goodness.
corporate lawyer decision, and the motion was to have one corporate lawyer, and that would be Jean Leonard. ABN.
Yeah, 'cause that other lawyer doesn't have to do anything for us anymore, do
No, they still do.
The other corporate lawyer was Harold Van Winsen.
No, it wasn't. It was,
A lady.
Andrea, was it Andrea St. Bernard? Yeah, Andrea St.
But
Bernard.
with the Enbridge issue and the gas line issue, it
But we're
was,
talking about the corporations.
okay.
Am I in order here?
Is that your motion, Chris, to have one corporate lawyer, Jean Leonard?
Yes, chief. Yes, chief.
Talking about the corporate lawyer.
Yeah, we skipped the political appointment.
Okay, the motion that Chris is making is to have one corporate lawyer, and that will be Jean Leonard from Aboriginal Business Network. Is there a seconder for that motion?
My papers must be mixed up here.
No, you're not. They skipped it.
you? You skipped it.
Oh,
That will be
yeah,
item, that will be item number 37 on where I've got it recorded on the sheet here.
Oh, okay, 37, on that one we skipped. Okay, next one. It says 43. Sorry.
Okay, is there a motion then to, a seconder for Chris's motion, just to use the one corporate lawyer?
Absolutely. I
Chris
second
Grant. No, I don't know if she's special, if there's different divisions of corporate law, that maybe that's the reason why they did that, I don't know.
I think it was just the one that we were with initially, and then the more, we had Derek helping with our corporations as we grew, like to other different opportunities, he was using Jean. So that's why.
Okay, the next
Jean
issue,
Leonard. Yep, Leonard.
The hatchery?
the hatchery would be public.
I think the other two will.
So the hatchery will be number 35.
Numbers are all over the
Discussion, business approach with Shannonville, research First Nations hatcheries, and funding Corda, ECDEV, and what's this say here?
90 gallons per minute.
90 gallons per minute. So I guess this is more to search it out to see how it can come to be, right?
I would suggest, so Chief, that we have our staff look at what's out there. Who's got hatcheries? Chris could speak to this.
I have friends who are directors in which is called Ringwood Hatchery, which is located in Whitby, and they are a big hatchery that supplies all of Lake Ontario, Canadian side, with different things like brown trout, rainbow trout, Chinook salmon, and I feel that if there's any of us here that sit on council, I could arrange that we take a tour of the hatchery, see how it's run, and just the process of everything. And like I had mentioned before, that if you ask anybody anywhere what makes the Bay of Quinte the most famous, and it is walleye. Walleye is the number one thing that the Bay of Quinte is recognized for on TV, just by word of mouth. It's I think that because we as Indigenous people have harvested year after year after year, we do have a milking program that gives back into the fishery, although we do have netters around that take from the fishery but don't give back. well, we can look at, utilizing a hatchery, not only for the walleye, but we can, use it for a longer period of time, and also, hatch salmon, maybe rainbow trout, brown trout. And as far as salmon's concerned, that's the reason why one of our rivers is called Salmon River in Shannon, because of the salmon that run and spawn. So, we could utilize it for more than just walleye.
Okay, so what was the name of the company or business that you talked about there? What's the name of it?
It's called Ringwood, Ring, R-I-N-G, wood.
Like
RAING?
R-I-N-G, Ring. Ringwood.
Ringwood. And where are they at? Hatchery, where are
And
they
they're,
at?
I believe they're out of Whitby. Just up the road.
Okay,
And I know one of the directors very, very well for a lot of years. And his name is Paul Volkovich. But I can get in touch with him, and I can see if we could get do a tour of their hatchery, because I know they do. And we can go to learn about it and, just get some ideas. But
okay. Well, why don't we
And
send a
bring Megan, too.
delegation to this, that knows something about hatcheries and stuff, who would volunteer to be part of the delegation and bring back a report to council? Chris would go?
I'll go.
I wanna
Okay,
go.
okay, then why don't we send those people for a
Oh,
delegation then? And
what about Megan though? Could we invite her?
yes,
Megan should come too.
absolutely we
Yeah.
can. She would love to do that.
Okay,
And,
so,
and then to further on this, I would like to, that I talk with Chris about, and just something to where we've named a road, and if down the line, we do make this hatchery a go, I suggest that we name the hatchery. And I believe that it should be named after my uncle Wayne Merkel, because of all of the hatching that he did in his own personal time to give back the walleye to the Bay of Quinte. And he is recognized by numerous awards for hatching walleye to be put back in. So I feel that.
and he just had a small building beside his house.
And he had a very small, but he put millions of walleye back into the Bay of Quinte. And maybe we could maybe name the Wayne Miracle Hatchery of Tyendinaga.
So, no, there used to be a building in Shannonville there, right next to the park. That was supposed to be a hatchery, but I think that got torn down.
It
didn't
did.
Yeah, it was long.
It was a hatchery there at one time,
Yeah,
because I made the tanks for it.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
Which day?
But that
I think it
operated
would be
for a
good,
while.
Like, to be in close proximity to the river somewhere, because if people wanted to bring their fish or their sows and jacks up or whatever.
It's all live. It's not, you don't use any, you actually have
No, that's what I
to.
mean, like, if they bring it, like, an experiment, they could take them up there. Possibility, right?
Yeah, well, it's, how Uncle Wayne used to do it is he used to, wait for the fish to be spawning, and he would take like a floating net and go on the outside of it so that he can,
Guide them.
guide or corral them into one area that he could actually pick them up without harm, and he would know. Yeah, he used to tell me stories about how he used to target anywhere between the 5-pound and 8-pound female, which was always the best one, not the big 12 and 13 pounders. The middle size female would always be the best result in numbers of percentages in spawn. And he used to have a 98 to 99% hatch rate out of all of the eggs that he milked, which was phenomenal. And that's why he got so many awards for how he used to do it. So, but
Yeah, he did presentations at Queen's University for that too.
he did, yeah, he had a lot of different things. That's- The only thing I feel a little bit of a regret is that he never passed any information down other than just some stories. And that's a shame, but we can only move forward.
I think we should work with Thatcher.
So.
Because
I
a lot
think-
of people just take from the resource, they don't put anything back, and they just seem to, if it makes $1, they take it, and then that's the end of it. Okay, so anyway, so we'll need a motion then to explore this, this delegation of Chris Brandt,
You can set that up.
Chris Miracle,
Yeah.
Curtis and Megan, and Aaron will go to the Ringwood Hatchery in Whitby and bring back a report and recommendation.
Chief,
We'll move that.
can we invite someone from AcDev also? There's potential for economic development.
Yeah,
with
sure,
this.
and that'd be Diane Winkler.
So it'd be 6 months.
We don't need to take the whole council, but the
Business development
delegation
work.
knows something
I don't
about
need
it.
to go, but-
What?
Who'll move that?
Ah,
too?
good.
I'll move it.
Who'll move it?
I'll move.
Linda
I'll second.
and Aaron. Okay, the motion is carried. So there'll be a delegation. We'll go down there. You can organize that yourselves and then bring back a report to council.
I think the rest.
The
of
other items are
Okay.
in camera.
Yeah.
So we'll need a motion to go.
The
to
AI
camera.
ones in camera?
I think so. I
Yeah.
think we moved it there.
I think so.
Why?
Well, we'll talk about
Well,
it in
may be a
camera.
sensitive discussion, so let's put it there for now.
One other thing I noticed is March 27th, it says local business of dates that we approve, but I believe you guys are at Iroquois Caucus, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So that will have to be changed on your upcoming TMC meetings.
I think we did.
It says March
scratch-
27th, TMC local business. You're already going to be at IC though, just giving you a heads up.
Well, we scratched it off a long time ago.
So we don't have it?
We didn't. We scratched it off,
Oh,
yeah, a long time ago.
so then we just didn't take it off of our
Because that was
calendar.
after my aunt to give us the other dates. Yep.
Oh, so we just didn't take it off of the list then?
No.
Sorry.
It should be March.
When
It's a little slow.
when is Iroquois Caucus?
Oh, wait.
26, 26 and 27?
Of March.
27th
Of March.
27 and 20.
27, 28, sorry.
So many meetings.
27th and 28th of March. So I
Yes.
have my calendar.
Yeah, and that's an ONA.
And what was the conflict there, Angela?
I said there was a local business, but Curtis reminded me that we actually had
we
already
canceled
moved it.
Yeah, okay.
What did we move it to?
We didn't.
Oh, we didn't. Okay,
The
just
local
making sure.
business? Yeah, no, we didn't.
We just
I don't
canceled
think.
it.
So is that it for regular stuff?
It is, we'll need a motion to go in camera.
A motion.
Moved by Aaron.
Second. Second. Chief.
We'll second it. Second by Curtis. The motion is carried. No one's opposed. And I would like to thank all of our people who may have joined us online today. And I hope that you have a good balance the rest of the day and everyone is in good health. Take care. Good care, everyone. Thank you very much for joining.